Councilwoman
Road.
Miliano,
Present.
Councilman Milliken,
Yeah, here.
Councilman Mullinax,
Present.
Mayor Woolsey.
Here. Next, we'll go to public comment. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Ashley, you're on muted.
Thank you. If anyone is attending and would like to speak via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function. Okay, we have no one that has signed up.
All right, now we'll go to the consent agenda. We have the minutes from December 16th. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Oh.
Okay, so it was moved by Councilman Milliken and seconded by Councilwoman Miliano. Would the town clerk please call the roll, Francis?
Yes, Councilman Bowles,
Councilman Bowles, you're muted.
looks like he's frozen too. It looks like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, here,
There you go.
move.
Okay. Councilwoman Miliano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. All right, so that passes. Let's go to the information reports. Let's do the finance report. That would be Meryl.
She's here.
Thank you. You all can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Lost and hospitality for December are both October and November. Under local assessment fees, that's TNC, which is we call it Uber in the office, but the $25,000 in the miscellaneous is an economic grant from MASC for phase 1 of James Island Arts and Cultural Center. All pays for December were 3 pays. Under insurance, that's Smurf. I have moved to code and safety. Once again, that's the Island Sheriff's Patrol is a 3 pay. The $3,000 was the contribution to pet helpers that y'all voted on last time. Under drainage projects, 4733 was easements, $1,300 for Thomas and Hutton. I think that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Meryl. Are there any questions for the finance clerk or the finance director? Hearing none, thank you so much. Let's go on to the town administrator's report.
Okay. You all should have received a copy of Capital Consultants Group latest update. That was their December update. We've submitted a PARD grant for the Dock Street improvements. And let's see, and usually we find out about those March, April timeframe. The Highland Drainage Project is underway. That began last week. Let's see, so the Treasury has issued their final rule on the ARPA funds, and that's something that really we've all kind of been waiting on. We've been going off this interim final rule. You know, a lot of questions have come up. But basically the big takeaway for us is that, so the amount of money we've received half of it already, is about 3.8 million. And so there's a threshold now for municipalities that receive $10 million and less, where they do not have to fall under one of these categories for funding. So while we have already, you know, committed some of these funds for drainage projects, as well as the water quality, sewer expansion projects. Really, we can use any or all of our funds for general government purposes, which is great because it also means that we have a lot less reporting requirements through FEMA. That'll be helpful. And so that was another one of the main reasons they did this, was to help streamline the process for smaller municipalities. Let's see. HW exhibits, they're continuing to work on the a history exhibit concept. Caroline's going to be moving that through, and it will come to you all at some point. It needs to go to History Council first, but we have gone over a draft with them for some casings and some other graphics on the wall, and I think they have a really good plan so far. We've given them some comments and look forward to seeing what they come back with. I'm going to skip over. We actually have Caroline on the line tonight. I think it'll be good, so you're not always hearing from the administrator or someone else on her reports. Every so often, she's going to come and tell you what's going on with the Arts and Cultural Center. So Caroline, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see most of you. The center had a really great December. We did an entire reboot with the artists that we have, brought in new artwork. We got the new traveling exhibit from the South Carolina State Museum, which is the Great Charleston Earthquake of 1886 exhibit. In talks with Professor Dr. Jome at College of Charleston to come and do a talk about earthquakes, but he's a little bit busy with the earthquakes that keep happening near Elgin and other parts. We also got new artwork from Camp Road Middle School and James Island High School. We have 4 new James Island artists that have joined and are exhibiting. Sarah Labussonniere, Sherry Brown, Jack Morse, Jean K. Juhos, and Ava Arizmendi. We've got 2 watercolor groups that are meeting on Mondays and Tuesdays. The History Council is meeting at the center. And we had some watercolor classes, and I had gingerbread house making, which was hugely successful before the tree lighting ceremony. Upcoming, we had a few cancellations this week due to COVID issues. We were looking forward to the Coastal Carolina Camellia Society's annual show, but unfortunately they had to cancel because many of their participants pulled out due to COVID complications. And then we've got homeschool art classes happening on Mondays and Wednesdays. We had to do a pause on that this week as well for COVID reasons. And we've got adult classes getting ready to start next week. We've got the youth leadership class that's going to start next week as well. We're also doing a vision board party for the teens, and looking to have new art rotations for Camp Road Middle and the high school. Farther in the future, we're looking to have a porch leaner workshop, which is, one of those cute signs that you put next to your front door. And then we're going to have a collage banner workshop, which I'm hoping the community will participate with, and will be individually tailored per person. And so it'll be kind of like a little pieces of the community that will hang throughout the center as banners. Then I'm working with the James Island Arts Council, and we're hoping to put together a juried art exhibition to benefit the art teachers on James Island. And then I'm also in talks with getting an exhibit for Spoleto and Piccolo Spoleto. So lots going on and a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline. So look forward to seeing you guys at some point to visit.
Thank you, Caroline. Is there any questions for the James Island Arts and Cultural Center Director? Hearing none, are there
Aaron,
any?
There's got one.
That's one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that just listening to all of that made me tired. I think that's just an excellent amount of progress. It's such a vibrant resource for our community, and Caroline and everybody else associated needs to be congratulated on such a great facility. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Any comments or any questions about the administrator's report? All right, next we'll go to Public Works.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. This is the report for December. There were 4 new requests for service in December. 2 were drainage related. Staff has responded to all requests. Staff held the monthly meeting of the stormwater managers, and we've been monitoring the Lighthouse Boulevard drainage and sidewalk project. More of the drainage portion was continued up to Lighthouse Boulevard, up Lighthouse Boulevard to Fort Johnson Road. It is now in a state of hiatus until AT&T can move their lines, and nobody can get a straight answer yet about when that's going to happen. Staff participated in the pre-construction meeting for Brantley Park improvements. Staff assisted with the annual town tree lighting. Staff arranged for town staff to receive active shooter training. Staff participated in the annual planning meeting for the South Carolina Association of Stormwater Managers, of which this year I'm serving as the vice president. Staff participated in the planning field visit for the next phase of Dills Bluff Sidewalk. Staff participated in the meeting of the James Island Creek Task Force, and staff had town vehicles fitted with devices allowing them to be fueled at Charleston County facilities. This is a big step for us. Staff arranged for a facilities security evaluation, and we replaced 5 street name signs in December, used 20 bags of pothole patch on 16 potholes, and continued to cut vegetation out of the right of way to improve driver vision in various locations. And that's my report.
Right. Do we have any questions or about the Public Works Director's report?
I have one.
Okay, Councilman Mullinex.
Yes, Mark, I know I asked this last month. I was curious if you had any more additional information on when the power would be connected to the speed signs, detection signs on Fort Johnson Road.
Yes, actually, Dominion Energy is now working with our contractor to get that hooked up.
Oh, okay. So we see it just in the near future then.
In the very near future. It should be very soon.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark.
Councilman Milliken, I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you. Mark, is there any timeline on the Dills Bluff sidewalk next phase? Because I've had a number of folks ask me about it.
I understand. I've had some people ask me as well. No, there is no timeline yet, but as soon as one is available, I will be putting that out to all of y'all and to the public.
Oh, thank you.
And just, I guess, to clarify on that, so there's sort of 2 phases in the works right now. So the phase from that we have permitted and designed, the phase from Seaside to Condon Street. So that one we received CTC funding for, and the county is moving that forward. And then the other phase, we've approved the design and survey costs, and the survey has been completed. Right, Mark, I'm pretty sure they've completed the surveying.
Yes, ma'am, they have.
Okay.
And where does that part go?
It goes down Fort Sumter to Harbor View.
So completes the project. All
Yes.
right. Any other questions or comments about Public Works? All right, hearing none, thank you, Mark. Let's go to the Island Sheriff's Patrol report.
Mute. All right. Can you hear me? Where am I? Let's see.
Lieutenant James, yes, we
We
hear
can hear
you.
I don't know how to find myself to see myself on here. Can y'all see
Well,
me?
we just see Lieutenant Sean James.
I don't, yeah, I see where it says I'm talking. I don't know where my picture thing is.
Well, I guess we'll just take an oral report.
All right. I'm sorry. Does anybody know where it's actually at on here?
Well,
It's
you
at the
don't-
top.
You-
I'm sorry.
Well, you're as an attendee, you're not a panelist, which is why you're not showing on video.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Very good.
That's by design.
I did my hair. That's why I was hoping that y'all would have me on there. All right. So a few things to pass on. Number one, we took some hours and allocated them during December. You know, we always worry about crime going up during the Christmas time. It's always our biggest time, right, when crime rises. And we had a phenomenal year so far, and knock on wood, we didn't have any violent crime. We've been going months without that, and break-ins have been very, very sporadic. We did have some shots fired on Jeffords a few weeks ago. Looked like two vehicles were firing weapons. It is unknown if they were just firing weapons as they're driving down the road or firing each other. Nothing was ever reported. We got video. We never had anybody call about that, and there was never a victim. We did have a stolen car that was pulled over, and a foot chase ensued, and there was a stolen gun located. Obviously, we had numerous arrests that I won't tell you about that are minor. On Ocean View, you do know, I guess if it did miss one thing, the violent crime, we did have a murder attempted suicide on Ocean View, but that was not a danger to the public and everything. And so that guy will be charged with homicide once he is out of the hospital. But he's got a long way to go on that. The ALPR, the other day, we were working on the 17th on Monday, and ALPR, which is the license plate reader on Folly Road, hit on a 70-something-year-old male with dementia, and we located him because of that. And so that is one piece where, I mean, you know, when you're looking for missing children or anything like that, but to find somebody that has dementia that's just kind of out roaming is huge to find him. So we're able to find him, reunite him with his family and everything was okay. So that was pretty awesome. Other than that, I mean, we've moved some hours around to try to combat crime, and I think we've done, honestly, we've identified most of our people. So we have some in jail, and most of them, we know them all so well now. It's kind of like being the principal when you ride around, like, all right, don't do this, don't do that. And the other thing that we've done well is we haven't had a lot of complaints on these streets. We've been rotating through the streets, through the neighborhoods. The speed bumps on Schooner, obviously, tremendous help. And then, of course, Jordan and everything else. We've been just hitting the streets, and also Clearview. I can't let that one pass up. I have gotten a couple speeders over there, but the speed bumps definitely make a big deal. So I thank you for putting those out there. It makes our job a lot easier.
All right, any questions for Lieutenant James?
I have a quick one. This is Daniel Bowles.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Doyle Bowles.
And sorry I have a bad connection, so I had to do it on just telephone. But Sergeant James, or Lieutenant James, I'm sorry, I've seen some guys on dirt bikes and four-wheelers up and down Camp Road, and I'm sure everybody has as well, but particularly at night and they don't have any headlights or anything on.
Yeah, we charged one. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to know if they were ever coming across y'all's patrol or anything like that.
Absolutely. A couple times a week. Most of them are juveniles, and our policy is we can't chase juveniles. None of them will stop for us. However, I did catch a 14-year-old on one and turn him over to his parents last week. I actually got behind him and got video of him, and then took his video over there to Jeffrey, and his little brother told on him. And so I found his parents. But it is a problem. And the problem, number one, we're not chasing a juvenile. So it's in our policy. And I would say 90% were juveniles. But in I know last month we arrested one that was on a dirt bike. So we are working that. We got another video of another one of our common criminals that actually took a video of it up there when he went to the fireworks stand. So we are working those. We try to stop them. Sometimes they're really out there, and sometimes we don't see them at all. But yes, and answer your question, Councilman, we're trying to stop that, but it's been a problem forever.
Lieutenant, may I speak a little bit on that?
Yes.
So me and Deputy Coral have actually recently gotten into 2 chases with some of the dirt bikes, and so far we were 2 for 2. We caught both of them, and they both went to jail. We towed the dirt bikes, and as far as I know, they haven't been picked up from those tow lots. So we got 2. We have been trying to focus on catching them. The problem is a lot of the areas around here, when they do run from us, we can't chase them because when they go off road, we obviously can't follow because they're going through the woods, and we can't drive through the woods. So it is, like Lieutenant said, it is difficult, especially if we can see that it is a juvenile. We obviously, yeah, like you said, we cannot chase them. But we have caught 2 from 2 chases that we were in, and we did tow those.
Well, that's
ones.
3 because I caught 1, so that's 3.
Well, that's 3 then. That's 3 total so far, but that is a problem, and we are doing the best we can to try and stop that, because I know a lot of people are complaining about it. I get a lot of complaints that people flag me down about it too, and that is something we are actively working on.
I'm just terrified that because, they don't have lights on them.
Absolutely.
They're going to get hit by someone. I'll throw this out there for y'all in law enforcement to maybe kick around the idea that maybe these kids just need a place where they can go ride dirt bikes. And there are up in the Francis Marion, there is one. And I'd be happy to, I've got a covered trailer, like a cargo trailer. I can do a dirt bike day. If y'all know kids in the neighborhoods who maybe if they had an outlet, to go do this in a place where it's allowed to do it, maybe they wouldn't run up.
No, that's a great thing that we can put out there and maybe do a flyer and see if anyone got. The only thing that we have to be careful of is liability, right?
Yeah.
Liability that if we host it and someone gets hurt, they're going to put the liability on us. But these guys got some of those trails over there they can ride through. They choose not to ride on a lot of those trails out there because they can't run for the police. They lure us in to run. So they will ride normally until we get behind them, and then they run. So a lot of times they're luring and looking for us so that they can make videos and run from us. But if we want to look at the liability on that and see if that's something that we can look at doing, I know that I would attend, but we wouldn't want the sheriff's office to be involved in something like that, because that would be that would probably be an issue with liability.
You're probably right. I'm reaching for ways to try to
listen.
Public safety.
I've gotten out with these kids and said, you know what? If you're doing 2 miles an hour and you're on the edge of the road, or you're walking it from one spot to another to go ride, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I've done everything that I can, and I'm telling you, it's been the entire time I've been over there. We got one, Bubba Rock, who's been driving since he was 10 years old, and he's still out there. And he was the one that just did a video not long ago. When so it's going to take us being out there, being proactive, figuring out who they are, taking videos of them, doing warrants on them, or charging them, and actually towing the dirt bikes. I mean, that's the only thing that we can do, because I know we can get Chris a dirt bike, I guess.
Well, that might be the answer. All right.
I'm open
Any
to it.
further discussion or questions? Hearing none. Thank you so much, Lieutenant James and Deputy
Absolutely.
King. Appreciate all the work you do on many issues, including reckless dirt bike drivers along Fort Johnson and Camp Road.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay, next we'll go to request for approval by staff, and we have Dock Street Park ADA and other improvements. Ashley, would you like to explain that?
Yes. 1 second. So the park grant that we just submitted was to do some improvements at Dock Street Park. And this, the scope and fee that we've received from Stantec, they would look at the ADA guidelines and some of the, the issues we're having, the pedestrian access to the dock needs to be improved. We know we need to improve the playground equipment. Certainly when you kind of compare the new standards, such as the playground at Pinckney, you have a ramp entering the playground facilities, and we have a swing that's handicap accessible, things like that. And then of course the parking, making sure that's up to standard. We know we need to redo the signage out there as well. But their fee for that, they need to do a survey. And the cost they got back on that was $3,000. But their planning services are $5,000. And most all of this will be covered by the grant. I think the grant is for $5,600 or $5,800, with us committing, like $1,000. So most of it cost would be reimbursed to us.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, would the town clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Dills,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. So that passes. Next, we'll go to the pipe apron repair on Starboard Road. Ashley, would you speak to that, or are you going to turn that over to Mark?
Yeah, and Mark can speak to a little bit more. You can obviously see from the picture where that joint on that concrete pipe has failed. The estimate from the county is a little over 10,000. And of course, normally their estimates are always higher than what the work comes out to be.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Okay,
Second.
Councilman Bowles, Councilman Milliken seconded, Councilman Bowles made the motion to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say, excuse me. Would the town clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. Okay, that passes. And so let's go on to the budget proposal to write grant.
This
Ashley?
is a grant that would be going to the 2022 Land and Water Conservation Fund. Our consultants found this actually earlier back in December, and there was already, they found it a little late, and there was already an intent to apply letter that you had to submit. So they went ahead and did that on our behalf, and in case we did want to pursue that. So we have submitted that, a little bit more lengthy, more involved. Certainly it's a larger threshold, a larger amount of money that we can get. So the idea is that we would be applying for the dock, and this fund actually does fund docks. So they thought it was a good fit. Their price on this is $2,000.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
That's Councilman Bowles made a motion. Is there a second? Councilman Milliken? Any discussion?
So this grant is for the dock at Dock Street or the dock?
Oh, at Brantley, I'm sorry, I didn't specify that.
And if we got, it goes up to $300,000, so that would potentially pay for the entire dock. Is that correct? Possibly?
Possibly. I don't have the information in front of me right now. I'm quite sure there is probably a match, and I'm not sure what that percentage is.
It's unlikely the dock, a replacement dock would cost 300,000.
To clarify, Councilman Bowles speaking, we're voting to try to secure a grant for these funds outside
Yes.
the town offer. Right. Okay.
Any further discussion? Any other
Well,
questions?
I'll just say that docks are expensive projects, and we've had a lot of wrestling going on with this particular dock. It's condemned, I think, or it should be condemned. It's kind of a hazard. So if we can identify outside funds to help make it safe, it seems like investing a little money in the grant writing to try to get those funds is probably a wise use of money.
I agree.
All right. If there's any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll? The town clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. So that passes. Let's go to the purchase of 2 additional radios. Ashley, would you explain that?
Mark, can you speak to this?
Yes, I can. In some of our discussions, staff has been working on a emergency action plan for safety and security at the mayor's direction. And our discussions, we came up with, we don't have enough communications. There's no way for Caroline over at the cultural center to call for help, except for push the panic button or whatever. But if she needs something from one of us, rather quickly, she doesn't have anything but the phone and the panic button. So we figured one phone for that, and we will be hiring a new person for field operations, and they're going to need to have a radio. So that's why we need to add 2 more radios to our suite.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion or further questions for Mark or Ashley about this?
Yes, moving forward, is there going to be compatibility with the phones that we already have, as well as anything new with respect to 5G or any of these other networks?
This is not a phone, it's a radio. It's the 800 megahertz system that we currently have that works off the county repeating system. And not only we have our own frequency, and it'll be on those be on our frequency, as well as have the capability of reaching the dispatch center directly, EMS, fire, and law enforcement.
Oh, that's great. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, would the town clerk please call the roll? Francis, please.
Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. So that passes. Next, we go to scope and fee for camp and Folly easement improvements. Ashley, would you speak to that?
Yes. So a while back, council had voted to look into, some welcome signage as well as flags for our easement area, and really, kind of holding off on that until the new chase was built. And just because, they had landscape buffering, they had the multi-use path they had to put in, as well as the bus shelter or the bus pad and bench, and then the shelter is coming later from Carter. Anyway, a lot of moving parts on that easement, so we felt it was best to just kind of hold off until we can actually, what's there is there. So Stantec, who had done the original conceptual, they've got a lump sum of 3,800 to look at this again. Actually, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Well, I don't have it pulled up. Sorry. Well, y'all have the packet. If you need me to pull up any pictures, I can.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
I had a question. Oh,
Go ahead.
Well,
Oh, okay.
I was, I guess, because Councilman Milliken appeared before me, I was going to recognize him. Sorry,
Oh.
Councilwoman Magnano and Mullinex. We'll get to you in a minute.
Oh,
Councilman
okay.
Milliken, go ahead.
Okay, well, my question was just to Ashley. I was reading over the proposal Stantec made, and they just said that, they have the American flag with other flags optional. And I wanted them to know, to be aware that there are, when I did my resolution a while back, that there'll be 6 additional flags, one representing each branch of the service, and the Coast Guard, and then the state flag. So anyways, I just want to make sure they understood that, that how many flags that we were looking at.
Yeah, and I certainly we talked about that, and this is conceptual, so I think they'll propose some different options, but I think their thought was perhaps it would, one way to approach it would be to have an actual flagpole, a standalone flagpole with the American flag and state flag. And that would be something that likely Chase Bank could manage. Because, we're not always going to be there to lower it when it needs to be at half mast and things like that. But then within the signage, perhaps have, the way she described it was, one of the options we could look at is having a place to put them, all of the flags during a special occasion, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, things like that. Maybe not having them fly all the time, or maybe having them fly all the time. So that was just, I think, just something we discussed. And so I think that's why she worded it the way she did.
And of course, this can be revisited as we move along the process.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Milliken.
Yes, my question actually had to do with, since we're at an early stage in this, and since there's some actual structures and perhaps a need for lighting, I was hoping that we could incorporate solar power into this prospectus to make sure that they're considering that. I think that solar would probably save us a pretty good amount of change with respect to wiring some of the things like the bus stop or the signage area. And if there are to be flags, including the American flag, we're going to need to illuminate it if it's left up at night. So it might be a good idea to maybe come up with at least the idea of having solar power in this easement area.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I'm pretty sure the shelter that CARTA is going to be installing and paying for, their new model has the solar capabilities. I know they've already put some out, Upper King, they're already there. So whereas the one we had, if we were to go back, it would have to be retrofitted, but yep. So as far as the shelter, now the shelter is going to be on the other end.
Mhm.
I know in this, the picture here, I'm going to share my screen. I need to have it up. I'm sorry, give me just a second. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Mhm.
Yes.
So in this original concept, this was back when, before we knew about Corky's selling, and this was going to be public parking lot. Now it's still, we have the public parking available to us in the Chase parking lot, but they designed this with that in mind, which is why you see the arbors, because according to our zoning and land development regulations, if there's parking in the front, it has to be screened somehow. And then the shelter was shown here. Well, in the redevelopment, it was moved further down, getting it away from the intersection. So the bus isn't stopping right there, after the intersection. So anyway, but I just took some pictures of the Chase that's there now. We do have a pretty big easement. And it goes pretty far up, and some of their landscaping is within our easement. And, one thought of, the wall, or, some sort of signage, when they originally designed it, they were kind of mirroring what we have here at Town Hall. So maybe there's a way to sort of, curve it around here. And then, the wayfinding signage in your packet, we just kind of had a list of things that we thought would be good to direct people towards, certainly Town Hall and Arts and Cultural Center, but also the soccer fields and the high school and, Fort Johnson, now that that's going to be more open to the public moving forward. But really, we need an engineer to, look at our easement, look at sight vision triangle, maybe it's not one sign, maybe it's two separate signs, especially the ones pointing toward the library and, Saul agree and things like that, exactly where should those be positioned? Again, I think just a lot of moving parts and having an engineer with the actual easement and the survey to look at and help us, place these things.
All right. Councilwoman Mignano had asked to be recognized. Councilwoman Mignano?
Yes, hi. I had a very similar question as Councilman Molinex had, and it was about the flags, just making sure that we had all of them considered in the development and design.
And something Councilman Molinex and I had talked about was, he had a great idea of maybe it's, maybe this area gets named, with veterans in mind, a veteran square or plaza, maybe there's a marker for the veterans on James Island. And that's something I know the VFW, can help with. They, they do they host, along with James Island Exchange Club, the Wreaths Across America every year at Holy Cross, and they know exactly where every veteran grave is. They know how many there are. They count them again every year. It's it's amazing. They've got it down to a science. So they would be very instrumental in this, I think.
Oh, I'm sure they would be so excited. I had mentioned something about this with the commander at the VFW, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's great." Those weren't his exact words. He wasn't quite as girly sounding as I was when he was saying that. But no, he was very excited about the flags and all of that. So I'm sure they will do a great job helping.
All right. Any further discussion?
Point of order.
Councilman Bowles? Point of
Thank
order?
you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that the idea of honoring service members is a great idea. I don't see it in any of the pictures or the proposals that we've gotten so far. And I'm concerned that we're going to wind up spending money on a bunch of other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with raising flags on behalf of the service branches that Councilman Molinex talked about.
Councilman Bowles, you're free to discuss the
everybody-
motion on the floor, but this is not a point of order.
If ev-
So continue to discuss.
Thank you. If everybody harkens back to when, the town contributed $100,000 to Corky's to buy this corner, and then they consolidated the lots and sold it to Chase Bank, and a lot has changed since then with this. If you look at the drawn concept of the town of James Island sign on one side and some benches and the bus stop, none of that stuff is actually there. This is not, we're talking conceptual, we're talking about maybe we can do things, but really concretely, if anything, I think we should be voting to maybe put some flag posts up and light them, as Councilman Milliken was asking, and that's it. I just don't see this as resulting, I should say, in raising flags in honor of service members. I feel like there's a lot of concept. There's a lot of maybe we could do this, but this corner property could have been a lot of things, and now it's a Chase Bank. And if memory serves correctly, our easement is a parking easement, and perhaps some requirement that we maintain the landscaping. So all of that being said, I would like to make a motion that we amend this simply to approve putting in the flags that Councilman Mullinax has been talking about for probably a year now. I think it would be a great goal to honor the service members, but as far as putting in all these other signs and things, we don't have a real schematic for it, and hiring an engineering firm to come in and give us a new design on something that I just don't see it as being a wise expenditure of money. So to clarify, my motion is to put up the 6 flag posts that Councilman Mullinax has been talking about and nothing further. That's my motion.
So you're making a motion to amend the motion before us to remove all mention of signage and then no mention of design, no mention of anything, just put up flags. Council's already passed a motion to put flags in this spot. The request before us is to have this engineering firm develop a plan that would implement that. And it does also include informational signage. And so I think the only thing that's added is that your amendment would be to remove the informational signage, that we should not have informational signage here, just flags. Is there a second to Councilman Bowles' motion? Hearing none, it fails. And again, that was not a point of order. That was it was discussion, and it was perfectly in order to make it a motion to amend. So that was fine. All right, so any further discussion?
This is Councilwoman Mignano.
Councilwoman Mignano.
Yeah, so
I would like to ask that the town administrator remove the screen.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I understand what Councilman Bowles was referring to, because now that the Chase Bank is there, it looks significantly more narrow than what had been previously presented to us along Folly Road. It seems like the Chase Bank is much closer to the road. If I remember us talking about that little sliver that we had. So now that does present more difficulty with signage and trying to figure out where we would put all this without blocking visibility for drivers on a very dangerous intersection as it is. I mean, do we even have room in front of the bank to put that kind of signage? It doesn't seem like we've got more than just a couple feet.
We do. I mean, we really do. When you go, I mean, I know it's I know it doesn't look like it, but there really is when you walk out there. And we've had to on several, site inspections and everything. I think there's a way to figure it out. And certainly I was at Brantley Park today with Artie Horn and Signature Signs. He was putting up the Brantley Park sign, and he's an expert on knowing where to place these things. And so I just would defer to them.
Councilwoman Mignano, in my view, this is exactly why we need to hire Stantec to reevaluate the location and in fact concerns about the possibility of making sure that the drivers, their visibility will not be interfered with by anything we add. What can we add? What can we put there? I believe that the original design that we had presented several years ago, over 2 years ago, really tells us next to nothing about what we can and can do in this under the current circumstance in the easement we have. And so the town did buy an easement, an area where Chase is not allowed to put anything, and we are allowed to put public improvements. And that could be flagpoles and flags and signs and so on. But exactly what will fit now in that area and will fit in a way that it sort of fits with Chase and does not include a bus stop, because that's on the other side of the Chase Bank now. A bus shelter that's on the other side of the Chase Bank. I think that we need this help. If we listen to the notion that we'll just have send Mark out there with a post hole digger and dig, some holes and stick some poles up there, that's just not going to work. We need some help in designing something that will look nice and we can all be proud of. And so I think that this is a wise one. Any further discussion? Yeah, Councilman.
Yes.
Councilman Milliken.
Yes, I just wanted to verify, we have budgeted $12,000 for this, I think, in our budget. And this is going to cost $3,800 for the plan. So I guess in this budget process, we're going to probably need to rethink our allocation that we did before for this improvement. The other question I have has to do with making sure that we're in compliance with SCDOT regulations with respect to putting things in like signage and flagpoles so close to their right of way. And I think that's another consideration that we probably would need to verify in this process. That's all.
Thank you. That's a good point, Councilman Milliken. And one of the responsibilities of Stantec will be to get the permitting and to make sure that we are in compliance with all rules. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Councilman Bowles.
Thank you. This corner could have been a lot of things, and now it's a Chase Bank. And I don't think it would be a wise expenditure of our constituents' funds to dress up the corner that the Chase Bank now occupies. There was a moment when it was something else, and I was outvoted on that point. And I hope that y'all will think long and hard before you spend any more money on the Chase Bank's corner of Camp and Folly Road. I do think Councilman Mullinax's idea right across from the VFW to put flags up is a sound idea. The rest of this stuff, I think that the town's money would be better managed and better spent elsewhere. And I hope that y'all will consider that. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes,
Councilwoman
I do have some
Mignano.
concerns. I do have some concerns about this corner. I mean, my office is right across from this corner. So even though I wasn't familiar with exactly how deep our easement was in front of the Chase Bank, I'm I can see some concern about having informational signs there, like how, if you're coming down Folly Road, it's going to be hard to notice on that side. I'm not sure how beneficial they would be and how many people would actually be seeing them if they were in front of the Chase Bank. So that's a consideration as far as a safety issue and as far as like an impact for the signage that we want to put there. We may be better served with a very similar Town of James Island sign that we have on Harborview, and maybe further down Camp Road where there's not so much traffic congestion, then you have informational signage somewhere down that way. I'm not sure, but those are my concerns, is that if you have informational signage in front of Chase Bank, the people coming down Folly Road that would be taking a left on Camp Road are not going to be seeing those signs. I don't think. They're too busy watching to make sure that they don't hit people turning right, going up Folly Road onto Camp Road when they're turning. That's my input.
Well, I think that, we will get some options about, what this informational signage would be and its possible visibility. And we are hiring some people who know what they're doing and not just speculating about what it will be like, as I would, or any of our staff would really, and making sure that it's safe. And then before we actually construct anything, what parts or, what we do construct, it will come back before council, And so we're not approving construction, but just looking at the situation we have now and seeing what we could put there. Anyway, any
I have a
further
question.
discussion?
Just one thing.
Councilman
just to say.
Mullinax?
Yeah, these people with Stantec they may come back and say what Councilman Bowles and Councilwoman McNaught saying is the fact, or they might say something otherwise. But at least then we'll know. It won't be conjecture. They'll be able to tell us, what we can and cannot do, and then they'll know, as Councilman Milliken had pointed out, the concerns with SCDOT. They'll be able to tell us what we can and cannot do in that regards. So yeah, this isn't just basically, voting to do all these things. It's just kind of getting guidance, in my opinion, at least how I see it, getting guidance on how we can proceed with it. Because this isn't the final car in the train. This is like the first car going by, and then we take everything beyond that. So that's just kind of how I kind of see the discussion thus far.
All right, any further discussion?
I'm so sorry. I do have a little bit more question about this.
Councilman Mignano?
So the $3,800, that's a lump sum fee. So this is saying that if it doesn't, like, if it takes less of their time to get this plan together, then we're still paying them $3,800. But if they take more than like their hourly billing rates in time that they're using to develop this, then we don't pay them anymore. Is that correct, Ashley?
Yes, well, if we move forward, if y'all decide to move forward with this, we'll be paying them $3,800.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and bring this to a vote. Would the town clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Bowles,
Nay.
Councilwoman Mignano,
No.
Councilman Milliken,
Yay,
yay?
yay.
Okay. Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey,
Yes, and so that passes. Okay, next we'll go to the new website. Ashley, would you speak to that?
Yes, this is something that we had put in this year's budget, was to revamp our website. And this actual cost is from BC3 is what I had put in. We did discuss it at the budget workshop last year. And I know it came up of, we need to make sure that, we're not paying too much, what's everyone else paying? And I did look around, and for a comparable website, one that would function as we need it, have the embedded YouTube videos, make sure it's ADA compliant and accessible, have the data storage capacity, and also options for online form submissions and payments. The price VC3 has given us, I haven't been able to find anything that meets that. The lowest I found was about $20,000, about the same annual hosting fee, $350, $4,000 a year. That works out to be about the same. So their attached proposal would be for 4 years. And then after that 4 years, if we decided to stay with them, they would completely, redesign the website, if we wanted. And every year as a part of this agreement, they do, relook at it to make sure everything is, is fresh and functioning. There aren't broken links, things like that. Whereas now, we don't have that. If, we have to pay for technical services and things like that. The one we have now is user friendly. I will say that. But I don't think it really functions how we need it to.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the new website?
So
The new
moved.
website design. It's Councilman Bowles. Is there a second?
I second.
Councilman Mignano seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll say
Councilman
that.
Milliken. Well, I guess you can't raise your hand, Councilman Bowles. Go ahead, Councilman Bowles.
I'm so sorry. I have a bad connection. Y'all can't see me, and it's my paralegal and her dog that pop up on my Zoom feed. But
Well, I appreciated that.
it's
Go
much.
ahead.
It's probably way more pleasant to look at than me, because just like Lieutenant James, I did my hair tonight, but it didn't really do that much for me. Anyway, I have shop website stuff for my own business before, and I agree with what Ashley said, that the rate is pretty reasonable for what they're offering to do. And so thanks, Ashley, for going to look for it. And we probably could stand to have a little bit more of a modern presentation of the town website. So I think to me, it sounds like a good idea.
Councilwoman, Councilman Milliken, I believe you asked to be recognized.
Yeah, I was just curious, what are we paying now for our website?
We pay $125 a month just to host it.
Wow.
And then we pay if we need, there's not much we can't do ourselves, which we'll still be able to upload it and do things like that. But there's sometimes, like, for example, we just had to, we wanted to kind of redo the homepage to put something for James Island Creek water quality on there, to make it, stand out. So we'll have to pay for that. They'll bill us probably $100.
All right, so this contract on VC3 is going to be all encompassing then?
It will be.
So it covers everything. And will they do things, or will we have autonomy to do things within that?
We will have autonomy to do things within it. If for some reason we can't, or we wanted them to, they could. If we wanted to email them to upload a document, they could, and we wouldn't get charged under this agreement.
Okay,
But I think it will be set. It's pretty much will be set up where we can. Francis pretty much puts everything up there now. Meryl does the financials. Flannery and Kristen manage planning and zoning. But we don't have as much, obviously, functionality. We need a section. We have a page created for the Arts and Cultural Center, but it needs to be definitely something more.
right. So we didn't have to bid this out. Is this because we already have a contract with VC3 for our other computing needs? And are we getting some sort of a discount on account of that?
I think the price is reflective of the fact that we are already a customer. But we don't have to bid it out, not necessarily because we already have a contract with them, but because they already have current contracts with other municipalities. That's why. One of
Okay.
our exclusions. Mhm.
Did Councilwoman Magnano, did I see you ask to be recognized?
Yes,
Yes. ma'am.
I have a question. So it says here that this new website is going to be able to take online payments and form submission and stuff. Do we have that capability now?
We have a part on the website that allows us to basically submit in a work order request.
Right.
So that's, I guess, if you want to think about that as a form submission, but as far and what I'm thinking about is more of planning and zoning forms, submitting a zoning permit request, things like that. We have fillable forms that Flannery has been great about creating for us, but we don't have those online forms, and we have the option for online payments, but we don't have that set up, and it would be much more of an additional cost to set that up that they would have to do for us.
So with this new contract, with this new website, then we would have that, and that would be included in this. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, thanks. Any further discussion or any comments? Hearing none, let's go ahead and bring this to a vote. Would the town clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Magnano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. So that passes. So now we'll go to action items. And so the first item is coming back up. It was deferred at the last meeting, a donation to the Association of the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Shall I speak to that?
You may.
I spoke with representatives from the Association of the Blind and Visually Impaired, and they had a conflict with coming to present to town council tonight. So I'm going to make a motion that we again defer this to next month, while at the same time I want to make a point that after the last meeting, someone from the audience who was there for the brewery matter came up to me afterwards and said that she and her son had a degenerative vision condition, and she talked a little bit through what she was experiencing and how through the course of her life she would eventually wind up not able to drive, homebound, things like that. She had never heard of this before, or that there were opportunities out there for people like her. So I think it remains a very important issue, but I know that the association wanted to come and speak as well as be available for any questions, and they were not able to do that tonight. So I would ask that we defer this to next month.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion for the motion to defer to next month's regular meeting? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll? Yeah, Francis.
Yes. Councilman Bowles,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Magnano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Aye.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes, that's deferred to our next meeting. Okay, next item on the agenda is retain Joe Quayle as the legal counsel to assist with property tax restructuring. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I
Second.
second.
Well, that was a tie. I'll say that Garrett Milliken seconded it. Okay, any discussion? Councilman Bowles, would you like to speak to your motion?
Sure. I noticed when we were talking earlier about Stantec doing some engineering for us, that's someone that the town puts trust in and relies in a lot to help us with engineering matters. And I think that Joe Qualey is someone that we can also put trust in to help with us. He's had a lot of experience as a town councilman. He's had experience on county council. He is an attorney. He is a James Island resident. You might not always like what Joe says to you, but I do believe that he's someone with an integrity who will speak truth to us, whether we like what he has to say or not. And I also think that we're running out of time if we are to come up with an alternate to the cost sharing agreement that's been in place for the last many years. And so I understand that the town has put up an advertisement to receive submissions from interested parties. And I'm sure there are other people out there who are smart and qualified and could help. But I think that Mr. Qualey is uniquely suited to help us come up with an alternate plan. And so I would ask everybody to join me in voting to retain him to come up with a proposal, keeping in mind that whatever the proposal may be will also have to be voted on. We may or may not decide to follow that proposal, but I can't think of anyone who would be better suited to help us tackle this issue and give us honest and helpful advice. And so I would ask everybody to join me in the vote, and thank y'all for hearing me.
Any other discussion?
Me?
Councilman Mullinax?
I agree with everything that Councilman Bowles said, because I've known Joe Qualey for going on 12 years, and he's been a personal friend of mine, and he's been a big help to me in various issues. Just my only concern with all this, and I kind of relayed this to Councilwoman Mignato, Councilman Milliken, and Councilman Bowles, is that we did put the ad up, and I'm just afraid that we could open ourselves up to some trouble if we do this before the time we put up being the 27th, because I'd be totally open to coming the following day or even that night of the 27th in a special session and, having this final vote. That's just my only concern. I would like to defer this till that suspense date, but that's just saying nothing against Joe Qualey. I think Joe Qualey is probably, without Joe Qualey did a lot to even help form this town. He was one of the early pioneers of this town. So I think I'd be hard pressed to find a better choice than Joe Qualey. However, just that suspense date that was put in that ad, kind of concerns me that we could be opening ourselves up to perhaps some legal action or just some ill will with candidates.
Okay, so I take that Councilman Mullinax, you're making a motion to defer. Is there a second
Yes.
to that motion? So I'll second the motion. Any further discussion of the motion to defer?
Sure.
Councilman Bowles?
A large part of my legal practice involves Tort Claims Act and other claims against government entities. And for my part, I understand that I'm not the town attorney and I cannot give legal advice to this body, but I don't see any civil liability in us moving forward. And I would remind all of us listening to this meeting tonight that a year ago, we almost voted down the cost sharing agreement. And at the last minute of the meeting, at the mayor's request, I changed my vote. And I also said that I would not be in favor of the cost sharing agreement going forward. We need to come up with another plan. And here we are almost a year later. We don't have an alternate plan. And so simply putting an advertisement up that says you have until such and such date, I do not think is going to expose us to any sort of civil liability. I'm sure there might be people who are interested in the job who may have missed out on it, but we can go forward tonight. We need to go forward tonight because we need another plan. And I would also remind anyone who's listening from the public that the whole point of this vote is to lower taxes for James Island residents. The whole point of what we're trying to do with this is to find someone who can advise us on lowering overall taxes for James Island residents. And that is one of the highest duties that I think this council carries. So again, I encourage everyone to find yourself on the right side of this issue and to be able to look back with pride if we're successful and remind your neighbors that you were there and that you helped make the town a place where people pay less taxes. And I think this is an integral part of making that happen. So I encourage everyone to vote in favor of this. Thank you for hearing me.
Well, you know, I believe that at the last meeting, there was a motion by council to retain legal counsel to look into this, develop a plan to further lower taxes, replacing the cost share with the PSD with some agreement with the county. And so in response to that, staff made an ad to try to find counsel, and we put that ad out on the 7th and gave, I think, 3 weeks. So I don't might have the dates exactly right, but it's basically 3 weeks to respond. We have had 2 responses. Councilman, former county councilman and former town councilman Joe Quayle, wrote an email to all members of town council saying, that he wanted the job. And then we've also, someone has given us a letter of interest and a resume, who's the county attorney for Berkeley County, who's a good bit of experience in local tax matters. And then there was another attorney who's expressed interest in this as well. And so we only are about a week out from when the applications are due. And at least my assumption in the past, the way we've dealt with these things, when council has asked retained counsel has had the choice of an attorney before them, what we've done is we've asked for applications, and then once they're in, I forward all of them to the members of council and see if there's who's interested in whom. And if people want to bring in people for interviews, then we would do that, and then we would have a meeting and vote on a final decision. I mean, this just seems like the responsible and reasonable way to pursue this. And so that's why I support Councilman Mullenax's vote to defer. I believe that if the majority of council is, strongly believes that Joe Quayle is the best person for this job, and that, they're not really interested in anybody else's qualifications or anybody else. I agree that aside from the fact that we'd be picking a white male and ignoring possible candidates of color or women, that we might have some issues with that, but I'm not sure that there would be any legal concern. But I just think it's the responsible thing to do, that we've advertised. We should look at the different candidates, look at their qualifications, and pick the best one. And if Joe Quayle has the best qualifications of those who apply, then we can pick them. And I think this can be done. We don't have to wait till the next regular meeting in February. If council wants, majority of council can always call a special meeting earlier. I don't think that we should quite do it on the evening of the 27th, that we should all at least get a chance to look through what resumes we have and come back with, well, what we should, to me, with if you're interested in anybody, and then we can go forward. So I think that's the best approach. Any further discussion?
I do. I
Yes, Councilwoman Mignano.
For one, I think that the comment about the white male versus a woman or somebody of color was kind of unnecessary. But also, we have until April to revisit this whole cost sharing agreement. That's when our deadline is. So could you explain to me, if we deferred this until and waited until after the application date, how that timeline would go, so that we would not be, so we wouldn't run out of time before April to make our decision and be committed to doing another year with the James Island PSD? Can you explain to me how we would get that done if we wait?
Well, I don't anticipate that we will be, if Joe Whaley is chosen tonight, that will in any way make us be able to vote in February on a new plan. And so, and I really have no timeline for developing an alternative, of what would take for an alternative plan. I think the key is when our budget occurs, our budget decisions. And so that is in first reading in April, second reading in May.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes,
Councilman Milliken?
thank you. I think that what probably should have happened here is that prior to instructing staff to write the job ad, it might have been helpful to include council in that process, because that way we could have put in perhaps concerns about the need for speed in coming up with a good decision for an individual to help us. I think there is a matter of urgency with respect to getting this done. And I think that waiting another week is a week that we don't have. And that's the problem. I think that now would be a good time to make a decision. And I think that the applicant that we're considering right now would be a good one. I wish I knew the others that would have applied, but I think that time is of essence here. And I think that we do need to move ahead with the process. And I think hindsight is 2020. But if we were to do this again, I would say it would be better to perhaps specify a timeline with respect to hiring the outside counsel for counsel. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Milliken. And it would be helpful if, for in the future, if council wanted to have a vote on who the attorney would be at the next meeting, or actually more specifically, instead of just to say we'll hire a counsel, that we'll advertise for a counsel over this period and so on, rather than just hire one, that we're going to hire one in the future. Anyway, any other discussion?
Yes.
So yes, Councilman Bowles.
Thank you. If you share the same concern that I do, that we've given the PSD $1 million or $900,000 per year, and they can't account for it to us when we ask them, when I've asked them to. And from what I heard at their last meeting, they were buying another truck and giving raises to people. And also the fact that the town is contributing $1 million or close to $1 million to the PSD that goes into their general fund, and goes to provide services to the entire island. If you share my concern that this 20 mills that we now have this year was basically manufactured to stop a lawsuit. And now 10 years later, I think after the tax workshop that we had, I think it was 10 years ago when it was all when the lawsuit happened. You know, back then when this was created, when this scheme was created, it was a good idea to solve a problem, but we can do better. And we have smart people around us who can help us do better. And Mr. Qualey is one of those people. And he is steeped in James Island politics. And he knows the people involved. And he is intimately acquainted with the processes required to carry something like this out. And I'm not saying that we're going to be able to undo it, but I wholeheartedly agree with what Councilman Milliken said, is that we're out of time. And we talked about this a year ago. We're out of time. We need someone who can step in now and give us guidance. And if we were to bring in someone from another county or another place, given the proper amount of time, if they had, 3 to 6 months to work on this problem, they could probably come up with a good solution. But we're not going to give them that amount of time. We're going to give them 60 days, maybe 90 days to come up with an alternative. And so when you look at the facts of our situation today, January of 2022, it's my opinion that this is the most prudent way for us to find out if we can do something better, if we can better serve the town of James Island, and if we can further lower our residents' tax liabilities. And again, I think that is among the highest priorities for this council. So I know that we right now have a motion to defer on the table. And so I would ask that we vote down the motion to defer and then go forward, retaining Mr. Qualey to help us with this problem. Thank you.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So we should be focusing our discussion at this time on the motion to defer, not various claims about the PSD not accounting for what they do with their money, or what times or dates, years that these things were done. Any further discussion about the motion to defer? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll? So if this passes, we will not vote on this tonight, but at some later time. If it fails, then we will continue discussion.
Councilman Bowles,
No.
Councilwoman Mignano,
No.
Councilman Milliken,
Nay.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. Okay, so now we'll continue to discuss appointing Joe Qualey to be counsel for the town for this purpose. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Okay, Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
No. So that passes. So now we'll go to committee reports. The next one is for the Land Use Committee. That would be Councilwoman Mignano.
Me. Yes, the only report I have is that the BZA heard the application for the special exception for the old fire station, and as of now, it's been denied.
Okay. Any questions for Councilwoman Mignano? Hearing none, let's go to environmental beautification. Councilman Milliken.
Yes, thank you. James Island Pride hosted an island-wide litter pickup with Surfrider Charleston and the SCDOT on Saturday, January 15th. We had approximately 57 volunteers remove over 114 bags of litter from our island roadways. Let me just say that again. That's 114 bags of litter from our island roadways. Great turnout, great effort. I have a lot of thank yous, and the thank you I have most is the Charleston County deputies for helping with traffic control around the access road on the Folly to Harborview Road access road and around the connector access ramps. We cleaned the connector. We cleaned Harborview Road, Dills Bluff, Camp Road, and Folly Road. Just a great effort on behalf of everybody. We just hope that with the roadways looking as good as they do now, that people will think twice about littering. Our next event is scheduled for March 19th, and hopefully we'll be able to get just as many people out then picking up litter. But that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilman Milliken?
No, but
Right,
I
well-
do. That's an amazing amount of trash that you all picked up. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you. So next we have Children's Committee. I have no report. We have the Public Safety Committee, Councilman Mullinex.
Just that we have a meeting next Thursday, a week from tonight, the 27th at 7 o'clock, and please feel free to attend. That's all I have. in my
Thank
report.
you. Any questions for Councilman Mullinex? All right, next we have the History Committee. The History Council continues to meet on the first Tuesday of each month, though this month we actually did the second Tuesday. And we've moved online because of COVID concerns. There's a subcommittee that is looking into the History Trail, which involves signage for various historical locations here on James Island, and also planning is being developed for the First Shot commemoration this spring at Fort Johnson. Any questions? Thank you. Next, the Rethink Folly Road. I believe I reported at the last meeting, though maybe not, that Councilwoman Mignano is now a member of that committee. There will be a meeting, I believe, in February, and they will be electing a new chair. So I'll be stepping down as chair, and a new vice chair. The current vice chair was a member of City Council, Councilwoman Jackson, and she was not reelected. So, Rethink Folly Road continues to move forward. Any questions? All right. Next, the Drainage Committee. Councilman
Yes.
Mullinex.
Oh, thank you. We'll be having our next quarterly meeting on February the 9th, and that'll be at 3 o'clock, I believe. Correct, Ashley? I believe it is at 3 o'clock.
They normally are.
Yes, just will make
Yeah.
sure to do it from memory. But yeah, February 9th at 3 o'clock, and please feel free to attend. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Business Development Committee. Councilman Bowles.
Yes, sir. Sorry, my mute there. No report. I do want to say I am so sorry that we haven't been meeting lately. And I'm starting to learn that when you are herding a bunch of small business owners to a single meeting together, it's a little bit trickier than I thought it was when I first signed up for this gig. But I have been emailing with everybody, and I want to let anyone know who's listening tonight to the meeting that if you have any small business or business development concerns, you can always call me or email me. And I promise to put together a meeting in the very, very near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Tree Advisory Committee, Councilman Milliken.
Yes, the Tree Advisory Council met on January 11th, and we came up with an awardee for our first Canopy Tree Award. I'm going to keep that a secret right now so that they'll be surprised when we make the award. We also made recommendations for hiring of tree interns to continue our survey of trees that are in our right-of-ways here on James Island. There was some productive discussion of extended care for newly planted trees in right-of-ways involving watering and staking practices. Many of the trees that had been planted in our right of ways, and especially around some of our public places like libraries, the guy lines were never cut. So those lines actually cut into the tree and did some girdling. So that's not so good. This was identified by the mayor's wife, Kathy Woolsey, at the library. We're developing a recommended large tree list to post under the tree area of the website at present. That's all we have.
Any questions for Councilman Milliken? All right, well, thank you very much. James Island Intergovernmental Council. So we're due a meeting in the first quarter, but I don't believe a meeting date has been set. One of the most important elements of business at that meeting would be to elect a new chair. County Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt, her term is up. Okay, next, proclamations and resolutions. We have resolution 2002-01 TSD funding for Regatta Road. Ashley, would you speak to that?
Yes, we have these applications coming due here at end of the month, first week of February. And we had applied for the last CTC for Regatta. We applied for 2 projects, Regatta and Dills Bluff, and Dills Bluff was awarded, Regatta was not. They were hoping to get some extra funding where they could kind of roll Regatta in. That hasn't happened. They did suggest that we put this project in for TST.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So
Second.
I'll count that as Councilman Milliken moved first, and Bowles was right on the heels, but that will be a second one, Councilman Bowles. Any discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Bowles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes.
Councilman Mullinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. Now we'll go to resolution 2022-02, requesting staff to investigate affordable housing options. Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Milliken seconded. Councilman Mullinax, would you like to speak to this resolution?
Oh, yes, and I'll try to be brief. I just happened to see an article of the Post-Courier, which was attached in the packet on December the 12th, an idea that the county had that I thought was pretty intriguing. They had basically planned on using some of the money, the rescue money, and purchasing 18 homes with the goal of fixing them up and then turning them over to a private nonprofit to then try to sell as affordable housing. During the forum we had back when we all ran back in 2019, that question came up, what we would do to try to promote affordable housing on the island. And that's kind of a thought about that for quite a while. And in the town, we really don't have much space to expand, but each neighborhood has these eyesores, really, houses that nobody seems to want. Unfortunately, Lighthouse Point has a couple like that, and I'm sure there's others throughout the community. And we have this unique opportunity to get this rescue money in, and it's a large sum of money. And I'm thinking that might not be that many houses, 4, 5, 6, probably less than 10, but it's something that we could look into, partner with the county, perhaps, and see if we could come up with something to be able to get affordable housing. Or reasonable housing, I like to say, out there. And this is something we are not going to be, I don't propose us be realtors in this, because this issue was brought up by Teddy Pryor on the county level, and I agree. A nonprofit should handle this, a private nonprofit, after we fix it up. But again, this is something we could partner up with the county, on and see how we can proceed with it. This is just kind of an authorization to study it and see what we can come up with. And, nothing may come of it, but at least it's worthwhile looking into. So that's kind of, my ideas on it.
All right, any further discussion?
Sure.
Councilman
Milliken.
Bowles?
Oh,
Sounds
that-
like, sorry, that's me.
Yeah, I recognize Councilman Bowles. I'd heard you speak up.
Thank you, sir. Sounds like Councilman Molinax, what you're asking is for the town to identify potential properties that could be purchased, rehabilitated, and then turned over to someone for affordable housing, which to me sounds like a noble goal. I hope we can do it better than the county has with their real estate endeavors.
Yes.
But I do agree with you that there probably are some properties. I think we've voted on something down Fort Johnson Road a while ago to approve funds to tear it down. There's probably some other places. And I want to clarify that what we're talking about here is not spending money. What we're talking about is maybe identifying properties and then identifying ways that we may be able to turn them into habitable homes for people who don't have the means to otherwise find housing. Is that a fair
Yes,
restatement of what you
yes.
said?
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely so. This is just a study, an initial study to see what is out there and what could be available. So you are correctly right in your assumption.
Councilman Milliken, did you
Yes,
ask to recognize? Yes, go ahead.
I think it's an excellent idea. I think that there are a number of homes that are in deteriorating conditions that could stand some fixing up. And I think it's a great idea that Councilman Molinax has bringing forward here. I think it's a very worthwhile thing to study, and I hope we can move forward with it.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, would the town clerk call the roll?
Councilman Bowles,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Councilwoman Mignano,
Yes.
Councilman Milliken,
Yes,
Councilman Molinax,
Yes.
Mayor Woolsey.
Yes. All right, so that passes. And so our next item is new business. Is there any new business?
Yes.
Councilman Bowles?
I heard a rumor that Ashley Callahan was going to be transitioning out of the town of James Island. And I want to take a minute to recognize her and her efforts and thank her for her grace and her ability to deal with us, and wish her the best of luck in her new position, and hope that we get to continue to work together in her new place going forward. And so I'm sure everyone shares my sentiments when we say thank you so much for your help and your patience, particularly with me, and good luck in the next thing. I'm sure you're not going to need it. You have the skill and the talent, but best of luck to you in your next job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, Councilman Bowles, I think that would have been that's more in order under announcements, but well spoken. Did you have, you wanted to, the next item on the agenda is return to, is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Hearing none, we will now go to announcements and closing comments. And normally I make the last closing comments, but tonight I'm going to do things a bit differently. On behalf of town council and our town staff and all the people at James Island, I'd like to offer Ashley Callahan, our town administrator, the key to our town. I'll bring it over there next door in a minute. It says, Ashley R. Callahan, town administrator, in appreciation for your vision and dedication, October 2013 through February 2022. When Ashley, our town administrator, first came here almost more than 8 years ago, I said that, you're not just here to do what I or council wants. You need to come up with ideas and then, convince us, to make our town a better place. And you have just lived up to my greatest hope, our greatest hope of really improving our town. You've not only tirelessly worked on all of the details in actually implementing our various notions and various things we've done, which is a tremendous amount of work. And it can be very difficult to fill your shoes on the staff as you transition on. But I also, would like to recognize how much of the effort for this town hall was your responsibility. It's people brag, I hear people talking about how nice the town hall is. And, and the truth is, you move forward. Yes, many of us had a dream of having a town hall, but you made it a reality. And then our parks, you've done tremendous work in improving our parks, and just so much to make this a more professional and excellent place. I'm just so happy. You've just done such a great job. I also believe that it's an honor, not only to Ashley, but to all of us, to our town, that Ashley has been selected to be a representative for the Municipal Association. So she has the skills and the wisdom to share with other municipalities in our region how they can also do so much with so little and really improve everything. So Ashley, the town owes you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so Councilman Bowles, you can add more remarks, but you got your step in first. Councilwoman,
I think you said it all. I think you said it all, Mr. Mayor, and the town will always be in Ms. Callahan's debt. She's done a great thing for us, and it'll be great to see what she's able to bring to the Municipal Association in her new position. I'm sure the whole state will be better for it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mignano, excuse me.
I answered either one. Ashley, I just wanted to say congratulations. You will be missed. You made it so easy for when I first got elected. Your wisdom, your willingness to explain every little thing that I had questions about. You have done an amazing job way before I got here, but you're very much admired, and you will most certainly be missed. I'm not trying to make you cry, but
I'm already crying.
well, you look better at it than I do when I cry. But we really are thrilled for you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Councilman Milliken.
Well, Ashley, you built Town Hall, and you kind of built the town of James Island along with many others as well. I can't imagine how anything would have turned out without your guidance. It's truly remarkable. I think that the only real salvation I have in all of this, and I think the rest of the town has in this, is that you're still going to live here. So we'll still get to see you.
Yeah.
You'll still be coming around Town Hall, we hope, every now and again.
I've got a key.
Yeah, you can go anytime. But I just want you to know how much I personally appreciate everything that you've done for me as a councilman and for us as a town. Thank you so much, and best wishes moving forward. Good luck.
Thank you.
Councilman Mullinex.
Hard of me to add on everything that has been said from my colleagues regarding Ashley. I want to appreciate all the help Ashley's given me over the years, coming up with the proper language on some of these resolutions. She's been a big help to me. And I remember I'm probably the last only member of council here tonight that remembers, the initial interview process when she first came before us. And she's, as the mayor had said, far exceeded those expectations. So, so I've enjoyed working with you, Ashley, and knowing you, and especially on those trips to Greenwood, during the hurricanes, where we worked real close, and emergency center, I think about 3 or 4 times. So, and I'll miss those. But anyways, though, but good luck in your future endeavor.
Thank you
So
so much.
again, Ashley, Ashley, please speak. Would you like to say some words?
Oh, my Mayor, before she speaks, can I say something?
Sure, Lieutenant.
You know, I've been with the town even before Mayor Woolsey got there, and of course we went through a couple different transitions, and you've been one of the best things that's ever happened to James Island, and there's no way to count how many lives that we've saved. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but you know, I remember James Island when James Island was right behind Ravenel in traffic fatalities and collisions. And now it is unheard of to have a traffic fatality in the town of James Island, almost virtually 1 or 2 a year, if any. And without you, I mean, everything revolved around you. Everything that I dealt with, you always answered my calls. You always made sure that my family was first. You always made sure the deputies were taken care of. And you're so genuine, and you always put other people first. And for that, I thank you. I've been dealing with people for 23 years in this business, and you're very, I hold you in high regards, and you know, you just mean a lot to me, and you're going to truly be missed. I don't know what it's going to be like without you, but we'll survive, right? And you got to get out of jail free card anytime you need it. But seriously, it's been an honor and a pleasure being able to have you being at the helm of what I think is extremely important, and that's protecting the people.
Oh,
Thank you,
well,
Lieutenant James.
yes, I would like
Mayor,
that.
may I
of
say
course.
something?
Well, yeah, yes, Chris, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ashley. I just want to extend my gratitude to you. When I came to this assignment for James Island, I was coming from, just fresh off admin leave and getting back into the field after my shooting incident and some of the other issues I had. And since I've been here, you've been a godsend to me, as well as the rest of the staff here. And I'm truly grateful. You've been there to talk when I've experienced some deaths in my family and some medical issues. I just want you to know that you're a remarkable person, and I've loved working, for all of you guys, and especially having you to kind of guide me when I first started. So I am very grateful, and you're definitely going to be missed around Town Hall.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, and thinking about what to say, I just, I didn't want to cry. But I feel very, very fortunate to be leaving a job that I love and going to another job that I know will be a great opportunity. I don't think a lot of people get that chance. And so, when I was, one of my first jobs working for the city of Abbeville as the assistant manager, that was my hometown. And I remember when I left, a council member said to me, you're never going to find another job as good as this. And I was like, I know, you're right. And I believed him. And he was so wrong. I mean, being able to work here, and be a part of these amazing projects that I was just a small part of. I mean, it's been such a whole team, but being able to be a part of the town where I'm raising my children, it's taken on just a whole new meaning. I've gotten to raise my boys up here. Thomas helped me lay it out one of the trails at Pinckney Park, and get him out of school to watch a house, a demolition project, and they got to see the cool equipment. So it's just been, I feel like I'm in debt to all of you. Thank you for your support and encouragement. I couldn't ask for better staff to work with. They're all so amazing. We've got employees with the town that love to come to work every day, and they love, what they do, and they love the town. And we're so fortunate. I'm fortunate as a resident, to have this group here. And I am beyond blessed, and my family has beyond blessed to have the mayor as my boss. He's been just phenomenal. I've learned so much from you. And I think we've made a great team. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I'm not allowed to cry, so. I'll be giving you your key in a minute. And again, we are just all so thankful for all the work you've done. And yes, I think the whole staff is doing a great job, but you played a key role. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there being no further business, I call the meeting hereby adjourned. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.